researchers, teams, and staff a long-lasting organization. So I think it is also the advantage of the CGIAR to be a global organization. And if we are involved with you in such challenges, in collaborating with the global organization, it's also to help this better spreading of research organization. So not only research organization in several countries, but everywhere. And I think this development through research is one of the pillars that any country needs. And it's probably something we have to put together. And it's not, I think the issue is a sort of global system involved in pushed by CGR. And it's accountability to what we do about that. I think countries need research for development. Then, as we're told, it's not short-term thinking. It's long-term investment in things and objects, but also in people. And not only individuals, as I told, but also building teams.
Okay. Thanks. I think Beatrice wants to respond. My question was research-driven partnerships. Can they deliver the impact we want to see? Because the bottom line is our impact.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, carrying on from where they've stopped, so to say. I would like to base what I'm going to say on the Uganda experience. In Uganda, for example, NARO has generated a number of technologies. But these technologies, maybe not even a quarter of them are being used by the farmers. And I think this is because we have, as scientists, focused so much on the science per se and forgotten the role of the other actors in the value chain. For a long time, we were thinking that in our research planning process, we need a farmer, we need the extension worker, maybe NGOs, then we sit down and draw the plans. We forgot about the industry, we forgot about, and you know the industry in our context is run mainly by the private sector. And so 5 years down the road, the technology is abandoned because there's no one to use it. But I'm thankful that the last few years for sorghum, for example, there's been a success story of sorghum varieties that are being used now by the brewers industry. And naturally, because there's a market for the sorghum, the farmers have adopted technologies, and they're interested so much in how can we maximize production and productivity. So yes, we need so much the involvement of the private sector. Many of us, as we saw in the workshop, the last 2 days are natural sciences. And it is only of recent that we are recognizing the importance of the social sciences, to help us to understand the system rather than the particular commodity we are working on. Because at the end, what we desire is impact. So the question we need to be asking ourselves, why aren't the end users using our technologies? I think that in the meantime, especially in most of our countries, we have so much technologies that are not yet being used to create the desired impact, even as we look for more. So we need to be thinking about that. How do we've done fairly well at organizing partnerships at our level, at researchers' level. What about in the value chain? I think we need to be thinking about that more. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. We talked a lot about that the last few days. And I think we are sometimes still in the trap with the natural scientists, social scientists. Some other people say we need entrepreneurs. Yeah. And the social scientist is not an entrepreneur. They won't do the job. Okay, so what? Ilma, we had a long discussion the other day. What do you think? Are those partnerships delivering what you want to see?
I ask myself the question of, when you ask the question, I'm going to answer you question, I say, were we not successful in making the changes that we want to make because we didn't develop the right technologies, the right varieties? Is that the failure? I think that probably answers my question in the sense that that means we have been very much research-centric, product-centric, which I have no problem with, because I was part of that system myself. But I think it's high time now we have to branch out and ask ourselves, if that's not the case, understanding that technology is context-dependent, then what then prevented success? I think that's the key, and that's one of the things that we have been discussing. Yes, product development and product delivery. There is a private sector model where these things are under one umbrella, and we recognize, all of us recognize the functional roles, the research role, the production role, the marketing role, the extension role. But at the same time, it's always also a system. There is a handoff from one function to the other for this to happen. And at the end of the day, the success is only measured not by how many varieties that we have released, how many seeds we have produced, but how have we moved the needle in terms of productivity gain at the farmer's field. So the biggest question that is still in my mind, and I think we're discussing it at the foundation level, what's our role in making system changes, beyond product development, beyond research outputs? These system changes are the context under which these products are going to operate. And this is by systems, I mean the system itself, the delivery system, the marketing system, seed production system, and all those. I know not one institution can do that, but until we elevate and we understand this and try somebody to lead this, I think we'll come back and talk about these things always down the line. So system change, how is it going to be effective? Who's going to lead that? And what are we going to do about it? And what is the role of the city or each of the city centers role? Again, we talked about partners. I think that's the core. And what's the value out of a partner? In the sense that I think we can enumerate a number of partners and have them to the fore, but what's the value out of each partner to advance the cause that we are in? I am, as much as, I don't know, if you have been following the news in the last week or so, Gates, the 2013 letter that he sent out, the core message was measurement metrics. I think this is going to be a very, that will be driving what the foundation is doing. It has been driving it and it will continue to be driving it, but we're being challenged now, especially in the ag development. Global health has metrics, very easy metrics. How many people have been vaccinated, how many people are left before polio is eradicated, how many child mortality that we have reduced. I think these important measures we need for agriculture. And these are the ones that drive, because why we need some of these things is knowing that it's not only research that will solve all the problems, we need to raise the profile of agriculture in the sense that when you meet the policymakers, people who make decisions in the different countries, to understand where they stand in terms of how much they are committed to agriculture and how much investment that they are doing, how much training that they are doing. Important components. The other thing that always has come to bother me over time is we hear about capacity building. I'm sure most of you, if you get $1 for each time that you have capacity building, most of you would be millionaires. Why it bothers me is in the sense that we have definitely capacity building in terms of human resource training. I mean, from I don't know, decades, everybody has spent lots of money training people, PhDs, masters, and it's ongoing. But we haven't made a dent. Why is that? I think this is the kind of thing that we need to think about, because otherwise, saying capacity building is not going to help us, not going to move the needle again. I mean, there is a fundamental problem why all the capacity building that has gone on has not made a dent. So these are the explorations that we need to do going forward in order to have. Okay,
Thanks. Okay, so the other part, system change you were talking about, what are we going to do about that if we really want to make it happen? I think it's still a big challenge for all the CRPs, how to get this in, what's the role of CG, what's the role of partners, how do we get it going? Good, I would like to have one last question, just two or three. When you look at partnerships, how they have happened so far, and I did 2 external reviews on partnerships in CG and a lot also in other organizations, you find that most partnerships are more on the line of contracting people to do something. Now, the philosophy of CRPs and where it all comes from is that's actually completely different. That actually partners are leveraging their contributions, bring it into the program, adding up with CG, and move together. I think that's maybe the culture change which you talked as well. So where are we with that? And I'd like to talk a bit to national partners. How do you see that? So far, definitely you have expected resources. How do you see it now? A difference.
Thank you. Actually, we have to review our previous partnership management issues to see what we are expecting and what we reached now. Usually, it has been a custom and a culture that so many donors come with $10,000 or $20,000, and it's something that doesn't contribute initially, basically to contribute for the impact what we are anticipating. Rather, it was a trigger or something that exploit our limited resources. So with time, we have tried to develop our negotiation capacity actually, where developing some principles of partnership. How this project or this partnership is aligned with the CADA programs, especially Pillar 4. How it is aligned with the government priorities and policies. What it has in capacity building, what it has in delivering the expected, and this has been really a very critical issue in managing our partnership. So in the future, actually, we have to measure our partnership. Actually, what is coming has to be measured before making the contract. Making the agreement, making the commitment actually before that. So it has to enable us so that we can deliver our national mandate, our regional mandate, and actually partnership is an intentional agreement for the same interest, for the same goal. So also those who are coming have a specific interest. So this have to leave us actually for negotiation. Yeah, that is what I see, and we have to develop some principle of negotiation, and it's not only at higher level, but it's to down the grassroots level. There has to be understanding for bringing impact and for making the partnership to deliver this expected outcome.
Beatrice, any difference?
Yeah, I don't differ so much from him. I think we've got to reach a point whereby we just don't take anything, but talk about the kind of partnership that is offered, here, where we are partners in a sense that we have a common objective, and we are addressing a common challenge, not just to do a contract, well, which doesn't meet the objectives of the organization. So I share very much this sentiment. We have to reach a point where we negotiate and say, yes, this is our objective. When we enter this kind of agreement, what is my role? What is your role in it? But together we are addressing a common objective, but not just doing, something for somebody.
Well, you comment. I think right now I'm quite happy that the way that ICR and ICRISAT and ICARDA are working together, which is a very true partnership, and in many matters that we discuss together about the project implementation. Many of my ICL Institute scientists are here, so they are also being involved in project development. I think this is the very starting point, that which is a very encouraging one, and I believe this is the one strength of today's CGI information. And if that continues with a real sense, with a more involvement in a deeper sense, I think we can make a big difference. And these are the things we all need to work together to see that spirit continues and we perform accordingly. Thank you.
Last two? Okay, very short.
Just to say that the proposal we made also is to go together with CG researchers and mass researchers to prepare bids and to submit to European funders or French funders, and also diversify the funding ways by working together in this kind of an answer to calls. Quite numerous. What kind of French level?
I think the case of India is remarkable, and I believe so much progress has been made in partnership because they can put their cards on the table, and so there could be matching partnership. But when you look at some countries, of course, you have to be at a certain level before your partner would regard you as an equal partner. If, for example, ICRISAT was bringing all the funding for a project, they wouldn't take what the country says. They would do what they want to do, and for me that has been the major problem. So we have to rethink the strategy for moving forward properly, because if partnerships are unequal, if we don't sit to discuss this and plan properly from inception, we can never achieve our aims and objectives. Let us remember that we have the same vision as the world. We want to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger in, of course, especially sub-Saharan Africa today. And so the approach must be different, and I said earlier that I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing. I had a comment on capacity. I think we must be careful about capacity issues. For me, the models we have used to develop the next generation for Africa has not worked. Why we don't see impact is because the models have failed. Can we change? Can we manage the change? That is what we need to do. And if you look at what, for example, the Alliance for a Green Revolution is doing today in certain universities in South Africa, in Ghana, they are models that should be extended everywhere in the world because our students are making significant impact. But what we hear today is that it is expensive. Look, I want to today tell donors, if you think it's expensive, don't come and help. Because the cost, although it's important, we must begin to be thinking about impact. It could be expensive, of course, not as expensive as training someone in Purdue or Cornell or, if you like, Michigan State University. It is that the world is unwilling to make significant investments in higher education in Africa. And that is the point. Until we begin to see capacity issues as critical to raising Africa to a higher level, we will not achieve our aims and objectives.
Okay, thanks. Then we were very keen to come back to the issue of liberty.
Yeah, in fact, what I wanted to say, and still building from what we are doing at the level of GCP, what we believe is that for the partners to be able, I'm talking about national partners, to be able to be at to be working with partners from CG, from RI, at the levels that would be more or less equal. In fact, we need to have partners that are stronger. And in that, what we believe is that, for example, when we talk about stronger, the NORS partners, we should not be only doing, at the level of the NORS, we do the phenotyping and we send our data, for example. What we would like to have and to see is to have the NORS that are strong enough to be able to analyze data. So if you start analyzing your data within a project, that means you are adding value to the project you are contributing into. And that is in fact where this last year we've been trying to have some impact at the level of GCP to make sure that all our NORS partners working directly with GCP or just being in the region where the GCP is working, make sure that most of the NORS will have a certain level of, a certain capacity into analyzing data, but also into working in a new modern breeding, using modern tools. So if you have that at your level, when you come with, if you want to partner with CG, you can say, okay, I have me also something else to offer. It's not only I don't only have field to do experimentation or manpower that is cheap to help you to do experimentation, but also I do have a breeding program. In my breeding program, this is what I do. These are the tools I use, and also I do data analysis, and this is how I do it.
Good. To wrap up, I think we have explored partnerships from different angles. What I hear is a lot of hope. I hear a commitment to do it differently, and that's very encouraging. I think the challenge will be the nuts and bolts of how actually to do it in a different way. And I hope that both CRPs, CG programs, will have modalities to actually bring this culture change, which was mentioned, in terms of the way we do it. Because we can talk a lot about it. If it's not practical, operational, it might end up in the same. And I think that's one mode which one really has to drive very strongly and carefully of how different are we doing things, and we challenge ourselves and also from outside continuously so that they go in the direction where we would like to be. So thank you very much to all of you. I think it was a great contribution. And